Hello and welcome to another Uniko video with me, Bev, the owner and designer of all things Uniko. This month at Uniko we have been celebrating 13 years of Uniko being in business and surviving this crazy world. Today is day 2 of the new product introductions for the 13th birthday February release. All the products being introduced this week across social media, blogs, here on YouTube will be available on Friday the 28th of February at 9 AM GMT time. So today I'm absolutely delighted to be reintroducing a product as well. So this little stamp set is called Bright Butterflies. It was originally released in February 2013 and it was much loved, and I still love it. But there's always a time where things just hang around, and when I sell the last one or two that have been sitting on the shelves, I decide to retire it or shelve it for a bit. Now, because it's been so long, I thought I would bring it back. But there is a reason why I decided to bring it back, and that was because I was designing a layering butterfly stencil, and I was looking for shapes of butterflies. And when I was thinking about the shapes of butterflies, it reminded me of the stamp set and how much I loved it. So I created the stencil. It's a lot bigger than the butterflies in the stamp set, so they work perfectly together. Hence the return of the stamp set and this new layering stencil. I am absolutely loving designing layering stencils. I don't know why it's taken me so long. But I'm loving it. Anyway, these are the cards. I thought I'd talk through a couple of the cards that I've shared on the blogs today. So this first card, as you can see, I've paired the stenciled butterfly shape with the stamped butterfly shape in the same colours and layered them up. And here you can really see the size difference between the two. But I think they work really well together, and just give another option and sort of another dimension to your card. Obviously, I've used my trusty 1mm thick foam adhesive to give that raised effect, and I've added it just to the centre of the butterflies so you can lift the wings for dimension, and the same for the large ones. And I've added a little bit of bling. Quite a simple card, but effective. This next card, obviously, I've gone back to my favourite rainbow colours. Again, I just love colour and I can never decide. So this sentiment, which I started with first, I stamped and placed my sentiment first. This one's from another set that we'll be introducing later this week. But I couldn't resist using it on this card today. So I stamped the sentiment, and then I stamped all 3 butterflies in sort of like a wave across my card in a rainbow of colours. And then when I came to add the raised butterflies, again just adhering in the centre of the butterflies, I tried to pick a darker shade of the colour, fussy cut them out and adhered them, and obviously added lots of bling. This next card shows all 3 of the butterfly shapes in the layering stencil, and I've used all 3 layers of the stencil as well, starting with the lightest shade of ink for the silhouette background, medium colour for the wing detail, the wings, and the body, and then another darker shade for all the little details. But this is just sort of one of the options of the layering that you can do. But honestly, it is so much fun. And then this one is another card showing the butterfly, and I paired it with Background Builder's Flower Power to create a funky sort of simple background. Bit of tone on tone here with my colours, and lots of bling, of course. You know me and bling. So the stencil has 3 layers to it. I'll just bring into view the ones that I have been using to save opening another packet. So this is what I call the background layer. It has all 3 shapes of the butterflies, nicely spaced. You're still going to have to be a little bit careful and mask a bit, but obviously I wanted to make this stencil as cost effective as I could, but obviously give you as many sort of like creative options as I could as well. So we have the silhouette layer, then we have the wings and the body layer. Now you'll see that when you layer them up, it's hard to see, so I've got the silhouette over the top of these wings. You'll see that they don't fully line up. Now I did this on purpose so that you could do different colours if you wanted to, and if you wanted to use just this layer and use the wings, you could do one colour for the top wings, move the bottom wings up a little bit and do another colour, and obviously this is like a little detail, and move that up again as well. So you do have to move it about a little bit if you want them all to line up, but it is fairly easy to do. Sorry. You can guarantee start recording a video and you'll get a little tickly cough. Now this 3rd layer of the stencil has all the wonderful details. I've added some elements from stamp sets that I've loved and designed in the past. You'll recognise a few of the little elements from things like Originally Organic. This is actually the flower that appears in the Bright Butterfly stamp set in the corner, but I've deconstructed it. So you do one colour and then you've got some separate elements that you can then layer up to add further detail, but there's lots of options. So I thought I would demonstrate how easy it is to build up a butterfly, like I've done here on this card and the other card that I'd show you, and then after that I will show you how you could just use the wing section and then the detail as well if you wanted to. So a couple of options. So I'm going to just put a little bit of temporary adhesive, and I'm going to bring in my Wendy Vecchi make art platform again. It's a magnetic platform. One of the ladies at the Uniko stamping retreat this month was using hers, and I thought it was a really good idea. Sorry, interruptions. Honestly, I can't do anything at the minute without being interrupted. Boys, and the joys of being a mum and trying to run a business and all the other things. So this is the Wendy Vecchi make art platform. It's by Ranger. It came out quite a few years ago, but it's super handy, and I've just had it kicking about and haven't really used it. And I saw my lovely friend and customer using it at the stamping retreat, and I just thought, what a fabulous idea. Save me like getting through the amount of Scotch tape I was getting through before. So I'm just using some masking tape as well. This is Eclipse tape by Stamp Addicts. It's super handy just for masking off the edges, because you can guarantee that no matter how careful I am, I will always get ink where it shouldn't be. I will just mention, so the stencils, you can see, have a little bit of a bend to them. I got mine hot off the press, and I have had them, I don't think I've really had them in a book or anything to try and flatten them a bit, but my manufacturer obviously has the mylar that they're cut from on a roll, so that's why they have a slight bend to them. Now, it's frustrating, it is a little bit annoying, but as I said yesterday, sometimes what I do is I use this temporary adhesive that I use to stick my cardstock to my workspace. I often put little tabs around, and it just helps flatten and keep your stencil down in place as well, and especially if you've got a little bit of a detail area and you don't want it to lift and your brush to go underneath. But I have to say, I haven't really had any problems of ink sort of seeping under, especially if you use the blending brushes. Now, as you know, I love Concord and 9th inks, and usually that's what I always turn to. But when it comes to layering stencils, sometimes it's choosing your colours that you know are going to work well together, for going from light to dark to add, so you can really see all the layers. And these alt new inks, I've got the older version, I've had these a long time, but they come in sets of 4 going from light to dark, and it takes the thinking out a little bit, thinking, oh well, I need my colours to match and layer up. Now this just takes a lot of the thinking out, so I'm going to use Pink Diamond. I'm going to miss a colour and I'm going to go to Rubelite, and then I'll have the darker shade, because there's 3 layers, so I need 3 colours. So it just makes things easier. So I'm just going to go in with this lighter colour, Pink Diamond. Now you can go in as solid or as light as you desire. There are no rules. Obviously you want it to be seen a little bit. There isn't a massive gap between this layer and then the wings. If you wanted there to be a little bit more definition, you could miss sort of like the wing detail and just go to the final sort of like decorative detail. There are so many sort of mix and match options really as well with these stencils, and you could even do this and then you could stamp through the stencil to add pattern and details and things using florals or geometrics. Even the background blocks would work lovely through. The only thing I'd recommend is putting it inside your stamping platform, because even though these stencils are one of the thinnest mylar, 190 microns, there is still a bit of a lip, and to get a good impression you'll want to repeat stamp. So I've finished doing that layer and I'm just peeling it off to reveal the butterfly. So you could do this and then just go straight in and add the detail section of the wings, and obviously I'd mask off this. You could easily just do that, which is an option, but then I just want to show you how I do all 3 layers. So you'll see here I'm lining up the stencil, the top wings inside the butterfly, and you'll be looking at it and thinking, well, the bottom wings here don't match. Well, I did that in case you wanted to do 2 colours, which we will do actually today. So I'm just going to mask off these bottom wings. And as we have 4 colours, we can get all 4 colours in on one card. So I am going to get the Pinkalicious out. So I've masked off. I just don't want to get ink on that one, on the body. So I'm going to go in with the Pinkalicious here. And then we can use the darker shade for the bottom pair of wings, and then the darkest shade for all the detail. So I've separated them a little bit further, just so it makes it easy for masking. Purely that is the reason why, but there is no reason. You can use these stencils how you like. There is no, you must do it this way. It's your creativity at the end of the day. I'm just explaining why they don't fully line up automatically. It just makes masking them off a little bit easier if you wanted to do separate colours. So I've done these wings. I'll take the whole thing off and then you'll be able to see. So the outline, it isn't massive, and obviously I haven't centralised it as best as I could. But again, it's just creativity, isn't it? It depends how you place it and do it. So that's the top wings. So then the bottom wings, I'd line up. And I'm going to mask the top wings off. I'm going to mask off these little bits here at the bottom of the wings. They probably have a name, but I don't know what they are. I was thinking the other day, I'd love to learn more about entomology, the study of bugs. Maybe I'll do a part-time course one day. So then I'm going to use the next darkest shade, which is Rubelite. And I'm going to use one of my other brushes, this one, just so I don't get the lighter pink brush too dark. My brushes need a good clean. I keep forgetting to get around to doing it. I'll get there one day. There's always something to be done. So I'm just going in with this darker shade. And I'm going to do the same colour for the 2 little bits at the bottom of the wings as well. The decision is though what colour I use for the body. I might use the lighter shade that I used before, the Pinkalicious. So again, just peel it off, and there you can see you can do it easily in the 2 colours. And then it just shows that you can do the wings as well, this section, without the bottom section if you wanted to, because you could add the antenna by hand or stamp version. There's lots of options. So I am just going to mask off here in case, and here, just so I don't get any ink where I don't want it to, because I can be a bit messy and then I get a bit fussy and then I have to start all over again. You know how it goes. But honestly, I think you can have so much fun, and I'm only scratching the surface introducing these stencils to you as to their creative possibilities. Really, there is so much And then I've lined up the bodies, so I've made sure these bodies fit inside, but you can play about and see because they will work. So this one would work as well as this one, but they're all slightly different shapes. This one is a little bit longer, so you could and then have an overlap at the bottom if you wanted to. So just have a play about and experiment. But if you want to use them exact how I've designed, I've put them next to the wings in the orientation of the wings as well. But yes, there is a few mix and match options if you wanted there to be. Give you choice. So I'm going to go back to Pinkalicious for this one, and I'm going to do the body in this colour. And that's that layer. So there's a little bit of masking involved. You don't necessarily need sticky masking tape paper. You can just use copy paper. But as you can see, this just reusable, really easy. And then this is the final layer, and just position it where you want. It's quite a tight little-ish fit, I suppose, but it does fit inside. I'm just holding it down in place, and I'm just going to mask off that heart shape there, and then we're going to go in with the darker colour, which is Razzleberry. Now I often start on the outside of my stencil and bring the ink in, just in case I have too much on my brush, and you can lift it back off. But you could do some lovely ink blending of various colours if you wanted to through the stencils. You don't necessarily have to do just one colour through it. You could do a variegation of colours. You can emboss through these stencils quite easily using your Versamark and your embossing powder. Obviously you can use your stencil paste. Just be careful using stencil paste. Make sure that you clean your stencil straight away after pasting through them, so the paste doesn't dry on the stencil and becomes really awkward to get off. Now I added lots of like little adornments and hearts if you wanted to add a heart shape in the middle, for example. It's just an option, or you could go in and do a heart shape inside the flowers. There's so many little details and options to get a different look every time. So there is all 3 layers. As you can see, the lightest shade, you see it most on the body and the antenna, but the edges, it is quite subtle. But here you can see I've done it in the yellows here, but I used the same colour yellow for the wings. So it just gives another option of having the wings sort of separate a little bit. So that's all 3 layers used together. So then the other thought I'd just show you, if you wanted to not use, I'll use a little bit of card. There is a bit of sticky on there. So if you wanted to, you could just mist that bottom layer. Just wipe off my stencil a little bit. And we'll choose some different colours. I think I chose some blues in the other tin. Too much colour choice. So we've got some lovely blues. So I thought what I'd do is just show you how you could just use this layer for your wings rather than using the full solid layer. And again, super easy, just with a little bit of masking. And they're quite easy to cut out, these butterflies as well. It's quite a nice easy shape. But good news is I'm hopefully found a new manufacturer of dies. If you might have seen online that the USA manufacturer that I used to use has closed. It's been a while since I did some dies. But it's a little bit disappointing that he's closed. But with the help of another company owner in America, I've found a Chinese manufacturer. I wasn't keen on going to China, but that is really the only option at the moment. I'm just rubbing my brushes off because they both got quite dark ink on them. Obviously I want slightly lighter shades. So I'm going to use Eastern Sky. I'm going to use Ultramarine and Agurite, depends how you say it, I suppose. Anyway, so I found a new Chinese manufacturer, and this lady, owner of another company, was super helpful. And she gave me the name of a company that isn't one that has done counterfeit dies. You know, there's all these companies that sort of steal our lovely designs and produce them cheap and sell them for cheap and undercut a lot of papercraft companies. Anyway, the name of this company she's given me is one that doesn't do counterfeit. So that has pleased me that I've had someone help me who speaks the language and obviously direct me in the right direction, because that was one of my worries, really, passing on my designs to a company, worried that they might steal them and undercut me, but we'll see. Anyway, so you never know, I might bring some dies out to match, to help with cutting, but there are lots of other designs that are in the queue waiting for matching dies. I go off on tangents, you see, it's so easy. So what I'm going to do, I've done them wings, and then as you can see, I'm just lifting these bottom wings a little bit higher up. Secure your stencil down with the magnets, and then just mask off the top area like so. And I'm going to go in with Ultramarine, which is not the darkest colour of all three, but slightly darker. Must re-ink, rejuicify these ink pads. You don't need a lot for ink blending though with the brushes. But I keep thinking I must do it, and then I always forget there's always something else, isn't there? So then you can do that. And then obviously you've got the little body on the side. Could choose the bigger body really, couldn't we? Let's find the bigger one, because we've got no sort of like limitations as such to fit inside, so you could use one of the other ones. Again, I'm just masking off. So there is a, as you can, I've said before, there is a bit of masking involved. But it was just one of the easiest ways of doing the stencil without them being like super expensive by having each little detail on a separate layer. We want things to be cost effective. I'm a crafter, as well as using my own products. I love a lot of the American products, and just everything costs so much these days, and you want your money to go a little bit further. So I just try and think when I'm designing things, how can I do it so there's less layers but you still get that sort of layering effect with ease, but without too much cost. So I'm just cleaning it. So I try and keep my stencils flat. I'm using a soft sort of microfiber cloth here. There is quite a lot of detail on some of these layers, so you just need to be a little bit careful when you're cleaning them, so you don't lift any of the tiny details. And as you can see, it fits in wonderful. Now there's not really much to mask off because it's over my card. But I'd probably end up cutting this butterfly out, to be honest, as I've done it on a little scrap of card. But I just wanted to show you how you can miss that sort of solid layer at the bottom if you wanted to. So then I'm just going in with the darker shade. Now you could, I'm using a big brush here, but it's quite detailed that, you know, these smaller brushes, especially sort of like these smaller brushes, I don't think I've got one, I've used one in blue, I know I've used this in black, and you've got these sort of detail brushes as well, which is useful for these smaller areas. This one's got pink, but I'm using a darker shade, so they get into all these little detail areas a lot easier. You could use your daubers if you've got ink daubers. They're quite good for getting in these smaller areas as well. I just find with daubers sometimes though, they catch, with it being a foam, they can catch on these sort of like little edges, points of the flowers. So you do need to be a little bit careful. We'll go in with a darker shade, and there we have the detail. So if you wanted the antenna, you could draw them in, or you could go back to the solid layer if you wanted to, and you could sort of mask off a little bit and do them, but I think it looks just as good without them as it does with. And then you can just fussy cut that out and add it to a card. And they're just some of the options of using this new layering stencil. So I hope you're as excited as I am for this new release, and that you've enjoyed my little video today. Sorry for all my waffling, but thank you for joining me. I hope you'll join me again this week as I introduce you to more of the new products coming out on the 28th. Be sure to check back in on the blogs. The brand ambassadors always have wonderful inspiration to share, and they come up with different ideas and combinations than I do. So I will see you again soon. Bye for now.